Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for a Rise Shine. We have another treat for you. We have Gloria's Show back with us, but we also have his wife Josephine with us this week. So we are so thrilled and so excited to have you here and very honored. So we have lots more to hear from both of them, so we're very excited. We're going to jump right into it. As you can see, we're missing a couple ladies, Barb and Kathy. We miss you guys. I also want to just, as we start into this, I really would encourage you to hit share and like, because they have testimonies, they have things that they're going to share with us that it's just beautiful to see what God is doing in the body of Christ all over the nations. And so this is something we do want to hit share and get other people to hear. And remember testimony. Testimony means do it again, God. And as they share these things, we get to see God be moving. And speaking of that, again, I encourage you to share in the comments anything that God has been doing in your life that's a testimony that we can, it'll increase our faith as well as increase yours as you share those testimonies. So it really is important for us to hear, again, what God is doing in the body of Christ. So if you have things you want to put into the comments, please do so. Also prayer requests, because we do pray for them. So again, thank you for joining us, and we are so excited to get started. I am Rebecca Ballard.
Gloria's Show.
Josephine Glorious.
And Mary Gollinger.
All right, so we are going to get right into it. Again, thank you for both of you for joining us again. This is just a thrill and an honor.
Yes.
So last week, Glorious, you shared a lot about how you met, how you got going, and what God was doing in your life, and then just all of the ways in which God is moving in these years of your life. And it was just so powerful and wonderful to hear. But now that we have Josephine with us, we would like to hear, first kind of just share about your kids, your family, and what they're doing now, and we'll just go from there.
Wow. I am very, very honored. I'm very happy to be here, and I have a lot to share, really, because our lives, my husband and myself, have been miracle after miracle. When we met and when we started our marriage, we were very poor. So we started very poor. But then God blessed us with children. So he gave us 2 children, and we started with 2 children, and it was not easy. The life was never easy. I remember sometimes I used to take some of my clothes, and I used scissor, and a machine that my husband bought for me was machine like the sewing machine. Yeah, it's a sewing machine that you use your hand to. Very old one. I was able to make clothes for my children, only because we were not able to buy even used clothes in the market. That's how we started. It was even hard sometimes to have food at home. But we trusted God. We love God. We knew that we are serving a big God who is mighty, and he's able, and one of these days our lives will change. So we started like that, and one thing that I love about my husband, he is a visionary, and he also trusts God. He has faith. He doesn't use his life like down. He always think big and plan for big things. So what happened is, when we were going on taking care of our little ones, we started small projects, like we will sell things like potato crisps, potato chips. We'll do different work. And with that, we were able to put our children in the best school in our time.
Wow.
So they both went to a best school, and we trusted God. We did some fundraising. We were able to go to a place called Nairobi, Kenya. We went there for our first degrees, and we went, me and 2 of our kids, and it grew like that, and our children were able to go there. God gave us a very, very smart kids. Since they were very small, they were very, very smart. So they did well in school, and they grew up. But in the middle, God allowed us to start caring for other people's children. That when we were able to go to the street of Nairobi and teach and preach to the street children, and when we came back to our nation, when we went back to Tanzania, we continued with the work of God as a ministers of the gospel in a church, in a local church, but also we started as a ministry for children, which was orphanage, but then we didn't want to make it as an orphanage. We started a school in it. But
That is amazing.
Yeah, I know. Through that, God gave us 3 children. Of course, we were able to adopt 3 children, so we have 5 children total.
Beautiful.
Yeah, through the same ministry. Of course, one of them came from our family, but 2 of our children came from the ministry New Life Foundation. That is what we are doing. So, if you ask me how are my children doing, I'll tell you very well. In
What are
fact,
the ages?
they are now grown up. We have who is 33 and 32 and 27, 28 and 18, and the youngest is 4. He will turn 5 towards the end of this year. But they are doing very well. You know, God has been so faithful to our life, miracle after miracle. Our children were able to go to the best school ever. When we came back, they went to the best school. And God
That's
provided.
actually another story.
I know.
On
know.
how God helped them for the school fees.
Yeah,
But continue.
God provided for us. We were just putting our eyes and our trust to God, praying that He'll take care of our children. And, you know, I know that I will not be able to say everything here today, but some of our trip here, God gave us a lady who became like a mother to us, and my children call this lady grandmother. So we call her Mama Jane. She took over miraculously when we were with nothing. I remember we were in Tanzania, and my husband found a scholarship for me to come to America to study, and I left my family with nothing. But when I came here, I was able to get, they were giving me some money for like a pocket money, a stipend, and I was able to send money back to take care of family and bring my husband here in America. So he came, and through that trip, we were able to make a friendship with this lady who paid all fees for all of our children.
Wow.
He paid the fee. I know.
Yeah.
He paid the fees for our firstborn. Please.
Yeah, I'm
Just add it. Just add it.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
That's okay.
I'm just saying, she started paying for our children's school fees when actually we had received a message from the school that they will not be allowed to go back to school because we had piled up
The debt.
the debt for the school fees. And so when I came to the U.S., it was in Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove. That was another story on itself. When God opened the door, I was going through a burnout. And so God opened the door for me to attend Billy Graham Training Center, whereby they have a retreat center for pastors. But I could not pay for that. But finally, they gave me a scholarship. And by then, my wife was already here. So it happened that when I got this scholarship, it was exactly the same time my wife had some days off the school that she was going in in California. And this is where now we met this lady that we have never met before. And she comes to me and said, "Glorious, what is the greatest need that you have?" And then I responded, my children's school fees. And so she paid for them from when they were in elementary school. And then she said, "I will take care of all of their needs. I mean, all of their school fees."
We only had 2 children those time. When we adopted our first daughter, she said, "I'm adopting her too."
Oh.
So it's like God has been so faithful. And what I want to say, that was a big trigger for both of us to start the school that we have now.
Wow.
Because we thought like we were very poor and God blessed us. And when God spoke to my husband now saying that you go start a school for the poor, we were willing to do it because he has done it to us.
Yes.
So and it was like we were going to be a hand of God to bless the
Yes.
children. Like God will use our hands and he will put anything in our hands as a bridge to us to bless and help these poor. So we started an orphanage and a school whereby we were able to start with 14 children, then it grew to 40, 41, then it went to almost 800. It just gone like this. Many schools opened later on in our city. Now we have these children from 300 to 362. So like what I want to say is God opened the door for our lives to bless our children while we were poor, and we were willing for God to use us to bless other poor people's children,
Yes.
orphans, abandoned, left in the hospitals, and many, many other things.
Well, and
But
that's, go ahead.
but I just want to say, if I go back to talk about our children now, as I said, they're doing very well, and God has really blessed them with brains, good brains. So they are both owning companies. They own
Yeah.
companies, and they make a very, very good work in Tanzania. And one is married already. A girl is married, and a boy is married. So two are married. One is here in America, and two in Tanzania, and one is here on Ohio studying. We only have a little one at home. So I'm very happy. God has really been faithful to show that he is able and he can do anything.
So
if you trust.
our firstborn is a girl, and she runs a company by the name of PZG. PZG, it's actually her own name. P is Prudence, Z is Zoe, G is Glorious. So she has a PZG company, and she does a lot with communications and public relations.
Okay.
And she plans for the high-level kind of meeting. Like recently, we had a meeting in Tanzania on agriculture, and we had several head of states from Africa meeting in Tanzania.
I think more than 13, eh?
Yeah.
More than 13 heads
And so
of
she
state.
is like part of the organizing team for
Wow.
helping the government, and she puts together all those kind of things. And we are really thank God for her. And the boy is also a co-owner of another company called Honor Stories. And Honor Stories is a communication company in Tanzania, and he also does a lot of work with USAID, some embassies in Tanzania,
Big banks.
some big banks in Tanzania. They do communication strategies for them, and they also help them to create some impact stories for this company. So God has been taking good care of our children. And what I would like to encourage the audience is when you really put your heart in touching the lives of other people, God will take care of your own.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about your own children.
Yes,
a lot of time we kind of lean back, or we kind of hold because we are afraid, what if I give, what will happen to me? But the truth is, when you give, God will take care of you. And so we have seen God taking a good care of our own children. God has given them bright minds, and I give all the glory to Jesus. It's really not because of anything biological or anything hereditary. It is so much to do with what God is doing in their lives.
Okay, I will surely say that it's not only hereditary, because all of our children, because all of our children, 5 of them are not our biological, but they're all doing very well.
Academically.
Very well.
Well,
Academically
again,
and
you would
life.
say, what you sow, you reap, and you've sowed into their lives, Jesus. And you sowed into their lives. I mean, last week you told us all about how God told you He wanted you to raise up an army. And so you, from the get-go, have been teaching and training and encouraging and raising them to love Jesus, to know Jesus, to hear Him. And so what you poured into them, you are seeing the results. What you've sown, you are seeing that being reaped. And also that made me think of what you just said too, about how you were blessed and God brought people into your life to sow into your lives.
Yes.
And you carried that forth. So as you were sown into, you are sowing into others.
Exactly.
And that's really God's heart.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what I really want to take this opportunity to also encourage the audience, that if God leads you to a life and you want to sow into, and you know that this is a godly thing, just go for it. Because you really don't
Yes.
know who you're going to touch. You can touch one life, but this one life can touch millions of lives.
Yes.
Because with this lady, we call her Mama Jane. Mama Jane helped us, helped our children. But look how many children
Yes.
have gone through our hands
Yeah.
from the year 2000. That's when we met her. 23 years.
Wow.
She has kept on, she has kept on being a great blessing. Even when my wife was sick, she was one of those people who were trying to look for support, for medical support, like financial support from all over. And she has remained to be an amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and so if you allow me, I really wanted to mention a very big testimony
Absolutely.
about now, after God had spoken to us about starting the school, or what you will call orphanage for the children. How God connected us to other nations. So God had spoken, and He said, I will take this organization into other nations. And when you hear that, it sounds like something simple, easy, but not easy to someone that had not really traveled so much. I had only come to US once, and that was the conference that I had come to. And now God is saying this to me. I don't know about these other nations. And He mentioned some of these nations, and that was USA, Norway, New Zealand, and South Korea.
Wow.
Yes.
Very unfamiliar.
Yeah. And so I started with USA. And so I decided to come to USA, but going to a place that I've never been to before. So to make it a little bit easy, we had some women that were sending us some cards to help us with our children ministry. And these ladies were coming from Superior.
We were going to ask how you got here.
So they were two old ladies, and they were old in a sense, because one was approaching 100 years actually.
Wow.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And I think
they really wanted to do work in Africa, but they were not able to travel to go to Africa.
And so we are talking about someone who was over 80 and someone who was over 90. And they were helping us by crocheting cards and sending them to us. Greeting cards. And these greeting cards, they were writing some memory verses, some encouragement words, and we were distributing to our children. And our children were the children in our ministry. they were sharing these cards. They were using these cards as an incentive to invite others to come to the ministry. I'm talking about outreach.
Yes.
So
yes.
when they bring a friend, then they are given one card for them and another card for inviting a friend, and the friend is given one card. Then if this friend brings another friend, he will be given one card for himself and one card for bringing another friend, and the friend will be given a card.
So awesome.
And
And if you bring two friends, you get two cards.
so
it was
they
so,
were really trying all they can to bring friends, and it was growing.
Oh, wow.
So I decided, the Lord had said I should come to USA, and he clearly said it is the state of Washington. Now, I knew nobody in the state of Washington. But I said, before I go to Washington, I will come to Wisconsin. And so, just to say hi to these people. And before I came, I heard that one of these ladies had passed away. So she was no longer alive. So I said, my wife created or made a wreath from
A flower
dried
wreath of
flowers.
Oh.
So she sent it with me so that I can come and lay on the grave and then look for the other one and say thank you.
Wow.
So that's how I came to this place. So I think you call it, I cannot pronounce very well, I think you call Lake Negabamon.
Lake Nebegaman.
You
You were very close. Yep, Lake Nebegaman. In fact,
Yeah.
my son lives there right
So
now.
that's where I came, and I realized that there's this lady, one who was remaining, and the other one who had passed away had two daughters, and these two daughters were going to Assembly of God Church in Hawthorne.
Okay.
So when I visited, I stayed with one of the daughters of this deceased one, of the one who passed away, and then I had an opportunity to visit this other one, just to encourage them.
Yes.
And another thing that I can speak to the audience is how you should never look down at something small that God gives you an opportunity to do. And even for you who are hosting this, never look down at what you are doing. You may never hear what God has done through what you are doing when you are still alive, or you may get to know, but all you need to do is never give up, because you do not know how many people are being impacted.
Yes.
These two ladies, I was glad to be able to speak to one who was alive. But the other one died without really knowing the real impact that she had done, because I couldn't come here when she was still alive and tell her what was happening. So that's an encouragement. And so finally I went to the state of Washington, and I was staying in a very small hotel.
Maybe before that, Baba, if
Yes.
I can cut you short, that through that he was able to connect with another lady,
Yeah.
In the Church of Hawthorne by the name of Corinne.
Mm-hmm.
From Central Assembly.
Central Assembly.
Yes.
But from there, now it's a history. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the people from Hawthorne connected me to Corinne. They said, Corinne, if you have something you can do with this man from Africa, he's AG and you are AG, would you connect? And we connected, and then Corinne, we connected very well.
Corinne came to Africa.
And she came to
bring the
Africa.
teams. Now teams comes from now on. Even if you want to come, you can just communicate to this church and you'll come. and see
We're
what you
coming.
do.
Yeah.
Barb and I, we've signed up.
I know.
So anyway,
Bring my son.
Yes,
so
yes.
I went to the state of Washington, staying in a very humble hotel. I had a very limited amount of money, and I can't remember how much exactly, but I had to stay in a very, very humble hotel. It was about $10 a night.
Oh.
And I can tell you, you don't want to do that. I mean, you don't want to be in any kind of those hotels. Because it was horrible. I could not go out, and even in the hotel I had to unplug the TV and everything because I didn't want to see anything in this kind of hotel.
Oh, my.
And so all the time I stayed in house praying, and I could go only out in a very short while because of some of the people that are terrifying that you meet.
Oh,
I mean, they were so drunk,
Oh.
and you don't know what will happen next because of the way they were. But anyway, to make the story short, one night I left the hotel. It was during the summer, so it was still bright light. I went to look for a church to pray. And when I went to this church to pray, I realized that the doors were closed. Mm-hmm. In Africa, we don't close churches, maybe nowadays. But by then, we were not closing churches. So I went believing I will find a door that is open. Mm-hmm. So I went and I tried one door, it wasn't open, and finally I found some women coming out from the church because they were praying inside. So they asked me, "Where are you from?" I said, "Tanzania." "Oh, we were praying for Tanzania."
Come on.
So
They
what
just
do you
prayed
do?
for Tanzania.
I said, "Children ministry." "We were praying for the children." So, I
That
mean,
is so good.
so there was no way you cannot connect that this is really God.
Yes.
And so a man who had come to pick the wife and had left because the wife said, "I will come home with this other lady," he saw me standing with these women, and I am a black guy with all these white women there. And he saw me and came back just to check if everything is okay. And so they explained to him that we were praying for Tanzania, and this man shows up, he's from Tanzania. We were praying for the children ministry, and this man showed up, he works with children. And so this man asked me if I could go home with him just to talk more, and then he will take me back to the hotel. I went, I talked to him, and I explained to him why I was there. I'm not sure if I explained everything, but I mentioned that I work with children and so forth. And remember, I am a stranger, so he must be having all the filters. And so, yeah. So he took me back. Within short time, I received an email, and he was saying, "Glorious, you can't believe. Our youth pastor says he knows you." And I'm thinking, "Oh, nobody knows me here.
From nowhere.
I don't know any youth pastor here in the state of Washington." And I said, "No, this is a big mistake." So the day comes when I go back there to visit him. He picks me up. I'm at his house, and now he's trying to connect me to the youth pastor. And youth pastor is so excited to see me, and I'm kind of,
Do I really?
do I really know you? So this man says, "Glorious, how are you? How is Josephine?" And I thought, yes, this man knows me. So I frankly said, "I can't remember you. Can you help me remember you?" He said, I came to Tanzania, I visited your church, I was with missionary Greg Beggs, and I know all this, and I was one of the boys or young people who came from Memphis, Tennessee, in a group of people. And my name is David Dodd. I spoke at your church. If you remember, one of the young people of the youth was asked to share in your church. It was me.
Oh, wow.
He was young.
Tennessee and now Washington.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So we started connecting there, and this man by the name of Chuck Carlson, he is now amazed to see how God is connecting this. And so finally we started talking and communicating. And to make the story short, Chuck asked me, how can we help you? So I explained that why I was there. I said, I'm here because God sent me here to see how we can establish New Life Foundation here and in America. And then he really cried. He said, do you want me to be part of this? And I said, yes. And he became the first president. We finally organized. David was one of the board members, David Dodd, who was a youth pastor. And this man, Chuck Carlson, he was part of the, I think, members of the Assembly of God in Auburn, Washington. He became the president of New Life Foundation. Now, he started kind of helping to connect sponsors for our children and so forth. He also visited Tanzania. He came and he saw the children. Mm-hmm. And all the time when this was happening, we were renting the place. Mm-hmm. And this is the place that I had mentioned before that we were renting, and we could not pay for the rent for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And now, 6 months, we haven't paid for the rent, and we are praying. We have the children fasting and praying. Mm-hmm. And one of the children said, God has spoken to me. God has provided already. We should stop praying and start praising God. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was from God. Mm-hmm. So I encourage people that we are going to stop praying. We are going to start praising God. But we will still break the fast the same time in the evening. And so we were praising God. The next morning, it was Chuck Carlson. I've never mentioned this before, but today I'm saying that it was Chuck Carlson, the man that I had met in the USA, that God used. But let me explain this.
Everything.
Let me explain this. When I had prayed personally, the Lord had said, go ask this man to sell this land and this house to you as New Life Foundation. Remember, we were behind 6 months. Mm-hmm. And so I go to him, and he's kind of, what about my rent? I said, include it in the selling price. He included it in the selling price, to make the story short. And now this is when we are praying. The next morning, Chuck sends me an email. I shared with him as a prayer item because we are praying in Tanzania, pray over there in the US too. And he just sent an email and said, give me your bank information. We will pay. His wife is Shoo Carlson. So Chuck and Shoo Carlson paid to buy that land and that building. So
just the miraculous connections. it just again reveals how intentional our God is. You know, he knows what he desires, he knows what he's planned and purposed. And when we say yes, you said yes, and you went to Washington though you knew no one. And look what God did. It not only the relationships that were established, but then how you were able to continue to move in your ministry and move in I'm just, it is so so God
Yes.
to do those things.
So I can tell you a lot of things have happened from obeying God in that. You know, when we were done with buying that land, that was in 2003. In 2005, we needed to build a home for babies. The Lord had laid in on the heart of my wife so heavily that we need to start taking care of babies.
Abandoned babies.
By then we were
Abandoned
Yeah,
babies.
the
Yes.
small ones, yeah.
By then we were only taking care of starting from 4 orphans that were starting from 4 years.
Toddler and above.
And so when my wife said, I feel the burden that we should extend, because she was taking care of pregnant teen girls. But we had that gap.
Yep.
So these little ones were not in the program. And when she brought that, I should confess that I was not for it. I said, my wife, we can only do that if you will prove to me that everything will be well planned and how you will take care of them. And I want to see the program and how we will receive them and how they will get out of the program. And very well detailed program. I want to see it before I will encourage you to continue.
This is because of how serious it is.
And
That
sensitive.
is a very sensitive and very delicate ministry. So what he was doing as a leader of the organization and a leader of the family, you know, it's a both. So he wanted to make sure that when we start, we will not like ruin the lives of the babies. Because some of the babies that we received, they were completely like premature. We started with 5 premature babies.
Wow.
And that's, God told me 5. And you know, he brought to us 5 premature babies.
Wow.
So, so that was not a daily, like a joke. It was a very, very, so we had to make sure that we have a place.
Did you
And-
take care of them at first, or did you have others, or?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what he wanted also.
that's what I
Like
wanted to
you need
hear.
a nurse in,
Are you going to,
you have,
like-
no, it
like-
was not me doing it.
Like, what is the plan? How many workers will you need?
Okay.
What
Food.
kind of food are you going to use? What kind
Diapers,
what
like
kind of-
everything in place.
what kind of beds are they going to use? Everything. I
So
said,
you worked to find all of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, we did together. He just wanted to make sure that everything is in place.
Yes.
Yes.
we actually
Which
we actually visited an organization in South Africa.
We went together to learn other people, how other people are doing.
Okay.
We went to Kenya, we went to South Africa, and we got to see how people are doing it. So when we came back, we were able to start what we call Fountain of Joy. So maybe at the end we will give you our website.
Yes,
and-
we'll put that in the
Yeah,
comments.
so when you go
Yes.
to our
Yes.
website, you go look for Fountain of Joy, then you'll get to see what we're talking about.
Yes.
But then I brought this here because of the story my husband is talking about. We call him Baba, it's our Baba Chuck Carlson, that he didn't only pay for primary school facility, he bought a whole facility of primary school that we use as of today. He also paid for a land and helped some in building the center for these little ones. So now we have a big place for up to 70 beds for babies.
Oh, my.
Up to
Up that
70?
Up to
Wow.
70.
capacity.
Wow.
We are talking about the capacity.
I'm saying, yeah. With
Wow.
everything intact, like beautiful center.
And he started raising funds for like washing machines and things like that for this center. And so
Yes.
what we are trying to say, when God brought this man, when God said I should go to the state of Washington, God has brought
Everything in this man.
a lot. Let me say this also. It was the same connection when my wife was sick and we needed more than 58,000 US dollars cash just a few weeks ago. And again, the same people from that state of Washington, the same people we met there are the same people who carried. Of course, God had used so many people from other places, and from all over the U.S. and from Africa too, and they really helped us. And
But they are the ones who really
but
did it.
these
Big,
ones
big
from
chunk
the state of
it,
Washington, they took the biggest part in paying
They are,
for my
like
wife.
we have been like their own, their children. Like I cannot explain, but God has really used them to be close to us, like relatives. I
Yes.
call them relatives.
Yes.
Like, of course, I know we are washed with the same blood, but it's more than that. It's not only the relationship that we have in Christ. It's more than that. They've really taken good care of us.
Well,
So yeah,
it's family.
it's
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's family. You know, we are family, his sons and daughters, and we are his family. But when we grab a hold of that idea that we are not only his family, but we are family because of
Exactly,
him,
exactly.
we will have that heart to take care of one another.
Wow,
And
this
to hear
these
that
peop-
testimony
Yeah.
of how they said, yes to the Lord, we will do that, which they obviously were feeling God speaking that to them.
Mm-hmm.
But they owned it as, this is your family, and now they are our family.
Exactly.
And I just, that's one of the things I have just continually asked the Lord. You know, God, I want to know your heart and what matters to
Yes.
you. Because
Yes.
what matters to him is us.
Yes.
Every single person that lives, he's created and he loves and matters. And that we all need to matter to one another because we all matter to him.
Amen.
And when that happens, when we can love as he loves, these kinds of things
Yeah.
take place in our
Testimony
testimonies of
over
what we can
testimony.
do, what God can do
Exactly.
in
Yes.
and through us. And when you said about when you give to one life or you help one life and how many more are helped. I mean, look,
Yes.
he helped you, but then you talk about all of the babies and all of these other kids that lives were changed because of their willingness.
Yeah, if I can add something, I'm in tears now. Like, yeah, like the way I saw God using these people to take care of my life, it's like God is fighting for me. God Himself, in His throne, He's fighting for my life because He knows that I will take care of His ministry. I will take care of His children. So it's like when they are planting the seeds of life in me, they are making me ready to go back, not only in Tanzania, in nations, to bring life into people's.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's good. What I'm saying, like, whenever you impact one life, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing more than one
Yes.
generation. It's more than one generation.
Can I ask a question for both of you? What, for both of you, was your greatest struggle individually and then your greatest victory? Maybe it's connected to your greatest struggle, I don't know. But can you, both of you, answer that question?
Yes. Actually, the greatest struggle, it is still the greatest struggle today. The greatest struggle, and I think it is the greatest struggle for most ministries, it is the funding part of it. It is, and I think that's why God spoke to us, that if I give vision, I will give provision for the vision.
Yes.
So that has been
Yes.
an encouragement to us. But there has never been a time when we see the fund before the project begins.
Yeah.
So all the time it has been, I give you vision, I'll tell you what to do, and then I will provide along the way.
Like
Faith.
we learn
Yes.
we learn to have faith and trust to God, like
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Not knowing, like when I listened to my husband telling a story of him coming to Washington, Seattle with not knowing, I really compare him with our father Abraham. That's,
Wow.
And today, Father Abraham is a father of many nations.
Yes.
So through his faith, he's going to be a blessing. He is going to be a
Yes.
blessing to many nations.
Yes.
Because now, most of the children that we started with them 22 years ago, they are ambassadors of what we are doing.
Yes.
You will need
Yes.
to hear the stories of what God is doing through our children all over the world. They are here in America, they are in China, they are in India, they are in many places.
Yeah.
All over Tanzania in good positions.
Yes.
And it's like in Tanzania nowadays, it's like if you go to any interview and you say that I am from New Life Foundation schools, like you're almost some places is like your interview is easy because they know they're the
They
best
know-
kids.
Oh, yes.
So you see, that's
Yes.
what, yeah.
Well, that again, that goes to show how God just, it's the ripple effect. You said yes, and then everything that went out.
Yes.
But when you talk about faith, that's what I love that you said, where God gives a vision, he'll make the provision for the vision. But he doesn't, very rarely do we see beforehand. But that's what it is, though. It's, do I
That's
trust
faith,
him?
yeah.
But not only the faith, you also had to believe you heard him. You know your Father God, and you know that you hear him, and you know his voice. But in that knowing that you know him and knowing that you hear his voice, you stepped out and did what you believe he asked you to do. I mean, not everybody, it's like, are you sure, God? Am I really hearing you that you want me to go there and I don't know anybody? But how he came through every time, because you not only trusted to do what you didn't have the funds to do, but you trusted that you heard him first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you stepped into that. And that's my encouragement, is we need to, that in that relationship with him,
There you go.
seeking him, knowing him,
For sure.
we trust his voice. We trust that we hear his voice, and we trust that, okay, Lord, I'm believing this is you, and I'm going to step out, so I'm believing that you're going to lead me along the way, and that what I need you will provide, because I give you my yes. So that's one of the things that's really struck me in your story, is not only did you trust him even though you didn't have the provision in the moment, you
Yes.
trusted that you heard his voice.
And it's all about relationship with him. And he showed himself as a father for you, taking care of you.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
Yes.
does.
So the struggle has been finances, and the victory has been finances.
Yes. Big time.
That's good.
God has been providing in amazing way. I'm not sure about the time, but maybe I should share a little bit about the other country, which is New Zealand. So God said that I will go to New Zealand, and we will have connection there too for New Life Foundation. And we will establish New Life Foundation as an organization in New Zealand. I know nobody. I knew nobody. And actually, I mean, I didn't know anyone. I knew no one in the whole of New Zealand. And so I just searched for a Christian school in New Zealand. I found one, and right away my heart connected, and I knew God is saying this is the right one. I sent an email to the principal of that Christian college, and he responded. I said, can I come? I would like to come to New Zealand to learn about Christian school, and we have just started, and we want to learn, and we want to have some people with the same mind alongside. So he said, yeah, you can come. And so I was here in the USA. I went to South Korea from here. And when I was in South Korea, that's a story for another day. When I went to South Korea, I tried to apply for a New Zealand visa from the embassy. They didn't give it to me. Actually, it was a very bad experience. So I came back to the US because I had a round trip ticket from here to South Korea and back to the US. And so I came back here in the USA. I tried to apply from New York. It was turned down, and they said, no, you cannot go.
Wow.
And so, remember, I know God wanted me there.
Yes.
So I thought I should tell my wife she should try to apply. And she started filling the application, and she went to Nairobi, Kenya, to look. We didn't have New Zealand embassy in Tanzania. So she went to Nairobi, Kenya, to look for New Zealand embassy. And maybe she could continue from there.
Yeah, we were planning to go together. But then when we realized that he was they turned him down twice, we thought I'll pursue and go, because we heard from God and we know that God was leading us to have a connection in New Zealand. It became even harder and harder, because when they were turning him down, the person back in New Zealand who said yes, people were asking him, do you know these people? What if they come here and they don't want to go back to their nations? So the fire was there were some issues, so many obstacles.
Wow.
But we serve a mighty God, and we walk by faith.
Yes.
So I went to Nairobi because in Tanzania they don't have a consulate in Tanzania. So I went to Nairobi, and also there they told me that we don't have here. You have to go to South Africa, and that
They did have a high commission there, but they were not offering visa. Visa was only in South Africa.
So on my way back to Tanzania, that's where the miracle started. So I just happened to tell, I don't know if the conductor or a driver asked me, what brought you here? I said I was here looking for the visa. I'm planning to go to New Zealand. He said, oh really? There are two people here from New Zealand. Do you see those people in pink? The husband had a pink shirt, and the woman had a pink shirt and pink trouser. Two people from New Zealand say, oh, you can talk to them. Tell them you're going to New Zealand. I was like, oh, how am I going to talk to people I even don't know? But when they came back to a shuttle in the bus, this guy, I don't even know him. He's a conductor in a bus. He was so intrigued to introduce me to them, and he did. So when we talk, we started talking. And when we talk, and they asked me, where are you planning to go to New Zealand? I say, Auckland, New Zealand. Say, we come from Auckland. We're from Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah.
I say, so where are you going to?
Who are you going to see?
Who are you going to see? I told him, Jeff Matthews. Oh my goodness, Jeff Matthews is our friend. I'm like, oh really? No way. So we planned. They said, okay, we will come to visit your school, your orphanage, and take with us some information back to Jeff Matthews before you're there. You know what? In their plan to travel in Tanzania, they took 1 day off and they came to our center.
Oh,
They came to our center, children sang a song.
Oh.
A very, very, we didn't know it's special. For us, it was their daily song. And this song says that, Africa, you are not forsaken. Africa, You are loved by God. Africa, you are not forsaken. It's a song, a very long, but they were keeping on singing that. They took the video of everything, and we didn't know what is happening because now I was not able to go to South Africa. South Africa is very far, and there's so many. We were just quiet. We didn't know what is happening. You know what happened? These people went back to New Zealand.
Now, let me
I
add,
will stop here. Okay.
let me add this.